Okay, so this is my 1000 mile review of the EKX X21.
If you find the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the positivity. That's why I don't worry about the things that I don't see, yeah. These days I don't worry about much. I think we should have some more fun. I still dream about the days when we were young.
So I've ridden it for about 1,046 miles, and this are my thoughts, what I think, what I like, what I dislike, and my general opinions of the bike. Okay, let's start with what's really good. The design is really nice. It's very unique, and a lot of people they're very fascinated by it. So with this bike, you get a lot of attention. You get a lot of people coming up to you. A lot of people are curious what it is. They are very fascinated by it. So yeah, that's a really good thing about it, right? What I like how everything is put together in a very good way. So it's not really, I wouldn't say it is a cheap product. It is affordable. Okay, so that's nice. I like the display. I used to have a Yamaha electric bike, so I like the simplicity of the display. I like that. I like the shocks. The shocks are very good. They are the KKE shocks, very good. I have it very stiff right now because I ride the bike on the road, and I do like to feel what I'm riding over because that allows me to know how much speed, and I like the feedback. So it's not uncomfortable because the tires it take a lot of the bumps and rumps. The front shocks are also very good. I give them that. The front shocks are also very nice. The design is really good. I have had no problems with the battery pack or the motor. The tires are interesting because, hang on, the tires, they are very interesting. I like the tires because I've not experienced any problems with them, but there are people who have had problems with them. I like them because the pressures are very low, and because the pressures are very low, they don't really get that much punctures. So that's what I like as well. I like the support that you get from EKX. If you have an issue with this bike, they are really supportive. I will give them that. They are very supportive to you. Like if you, for example, when this bike came, I wasn't expecting this display, and I said to them, I said, "What is this?" Because I don't know how to use it. Because I thought it was another. So they said, "Do you want another display?" No, I said no. I just want to know how to change it. So with that, for a Chinese company, I find they're very supportive in that way. They will try their best. There are like sometimes language barriers, and also culturally it's different as well. Like it's very figure it out kind of vibe, which isn't bad. I'm a technician, so I don't have that issue. There is a daytime running light, as you can see here on here. Some people complain about it. It's okay for me because I do city riding, and at city riding, it's fine. That's good. There's a headlamp, which is really nice. It's not the brightest, but it works well. It's reliable, and you could see where you're going. So for a Chinese built bike, it's great. And for the price point, well, actually not Chinese, but for the price point, it's actually really good. So I added a few things on there. I added this, so just a slash guard. I added, because literally it doesn't come with any of these things. You need to get a fender if you get this bike, because you will get wet if you go. Because when you do, for example, when you turn the handlebar in this way, if you imagine, whoop. Okay, I destabilized the bike. Let's go back. So like when you turn the handlebar, like if you turned it this way, then the water basically splashes onto you. It's the same with the rear. I added this just to stop the water going in here, so I made this myself. And I ordered a tail here, which have not arrived yet. So that's pretty good. So these are things I like. Like I said, it's very reliable. I have had no problems with it. You get a lot of attention with it. The components are really good quality components. They are very good quality components when you use them. I would say out of everything on this bicycle, the cheapest thing I would say is the headlamp. And it's not that it's cheap, it's just you could see a seam in there, and compared to everything else it stands out a little bit, because it's not made of metal, it's made of plastic, so that's one thing. I replaced the stem, so the original stem does not look like this. I replaced it just to make it a little bit shorter. So can you ride this bike on the road? Yes and no. If you take it out of the box, you cannot ride it on the road. Depends on where you stay, like on the rules. But this bike does have a VIN number plastered right here, which you can take and you can have it actually registered as a moped, because it goes up to like 29 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour. So that's classified as a moped in some places. It does have a twist and go throttle. So, but most of the time, based on the speed and the power, because it's not that powerful, it's about 1.3 or 4 kilowatts, which is less than a kettle. So, you could get it registered as a moped. Okay, so what are the things that I don't like after 1,000 miles of owning this bike? Okay, so as we've established, this bike is very beautiful. It's very well built, but it is also underpowered. It's the controller is rated at 29 amps, right? 28 plus 1. So that's the maximum amount of power that the controller, basically an amount of current that the controller allows to flow through it before it shuts off or limits it or whatever. I do understand why you would do that, but try understand it from this perspective. So you have a 2 kilowatt motor in the rear, right? And you have a controller, which is here, which only allows 28 amps on a 48 volt battery, which has a fully charged voltage of 54 volts, right? Just imagine that if you were to calculate at its nominal voltage 48 volts, right, times the 28 amps, you get about 1,300, 400. So it's really underpowering the motor. And if the motor is built at 2 kilowatts, then it can probably be peaked to about 3 kilowatts. So it's a very beautiful, very well built bike, but it's very underpowered. So I concluded that I will in the future get a controller and put the controller here and just give it a little bit more power, because I ride it on the road, so I have a rough idea of what it's like. Like I said, you can't really ride it on the road with its full power, because firstly you need mirrors, which I do. I got mirrors and stuff. Because you wouldn't be, you have to get mirrors, and you need to get mud flaps and fenders, you know, stuff that will make you safe to other users, because that's the whole purpose of these things happening, just to make you safe, that you don't cause a collision, and you know what I mean, and if you do have a collision, how will it get rectified? You know, these are the things you have to think about. So yeah, I have gone to a really steep hill with it, like hills actually. I've gone for many steep hills with it. It does go up the hill. Okay, so I'm gonna add a video next of what it's like to go up a really steep hill with it. Okay, so that's happened about here where I'm circled. That was where we were elevating, and in order to get that performance you must already have speed in the hill. Yeah, so what's happening now is that the speed is reducing because the hill is like really steep and it's starting to reduce. So it does go down. You can go up at about a 20, and that's me riding in mode 5, and to be honest the hill was really steep. So that's what happens, and then it starts recovering again once the hill starts to level off. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You see, they said, and like I do understand, it's not really EKX's fault, but apparently this is rated. This can go up. That's what they said. This motor is capable of going up a hill, a 35% hill, right? 35% grade. Now, the issue with that isn't that, actually, if I'm honest with you, there's never been a hill that I have thrown at this bike that this bike has not been able to deal with. It's literally gone up every hill that I've sent it to, but that does not mean that it goes up that hill at its maximum speed. And you see, when they test these gradients in these motors, like when they do these tests to find out the maximum that it can go up, they do it at like I think 20 kilometers an hour, so which is about correct. So yeah, you will go up a really steep hill at I don't know, maybe 18, because that's what happened. I will try to insert a video that you may see what I mean about the what it's like. So it does go up the hill, and I do understand because it was originally designed as a off-road bike. And if you are off-roading like here, where the terrain is like really rough and it's not really flat, yeah, trust me, the speed of this bike is perfect, because you wouldn't really want to do 50 miles an hour on bumpy terrains. So since it was designed for that purpose, absolutely, it fulfills its purpose very well, you know. But if you were using it on the road like I did, or I do, then yeah, when you get to these hills, the speed goes down, which on if you were doing an off-road hill, like on a mountain, for example, that would be fine, no problem. Yeah, so that's you need to consider when you put on it. So I'll show you what it's like on the road in real traffic. So if you live in any kind of European city, 90% of the time the speed will be fine. people do think that it is more expensive than it is. That's one thing about it, you know. They do think that it's more expensive than it is. So you get, like I said, you get a lot of attention, and because you get a lot of attention, you also need to now invest in the security. I have trackers on there, I have alarms on there, I have so tracker alarms, and I had to get a motorcycle chain, literally a 14 millimeter chain. If you know what 14 millimeter chain is, these are like really massive chains. These are like the this is like I'm being very serious now, chain. So yeah, so you just have to consider that in mind when you are purchasing it. Yeah, sometimes I do really want more power. I think if I use this bike here just in the off-road, it's fine because this is very bumpy, and that when you off-road at 20, if you're doing 20 miles an hour on these kind of bumpy roads, that's actually, trust me, that's plenty. Yeah, but when you're on the road, you will want that power, and since I ride on the road, then I do want that power. So if there's anything specific that you'd like me to cover relating to this bike, just let me know and I will. Charging takes about 4 to 6 hours. Like I said, I don't really drain this, and because I don't really go to like 0%, I don't really check how long it takes, because I literally take this to work and I plug it in and it just charges, and when it's ready the light turns green, I just unplug it and that's it. But about 4 to 6 hours. Range, I think you could get, literally I don't really pedal because you can pedal on this bike, but the issue with this bike, I'll try to explain it. The pedals are linked to so you have a pedal sensor here, right? And what that does is that basically it checks the rotation of the pedal, right? And that tells the system that you're pedaling, and the system tells the motor to engage. And the issue is that you start pedaling and there's a delay. There's like a 1 second delay, and then the power kicks in. So that can be a bit unnerving. So I don't really pedal on it that much unless I have to. Like if I'm going up a really steep hill and the battery is maybe a little bit low and I really want to go up that hill faster, then I will help it just by pedaling. But ideally I don't, and that's the reason why I've left the pedals. Yes, overall I would say it's a very good bike. I would say the construction is quite extraordinary. This is like my third review video. The first one I had the park police. They wanted to know what I was doing here because you know you got a lot of views on Sarons and they go around stealing stuff, and they probably thought I was part of them. Yeah, it is inspired by a Saron and a Telaria. You could see it has that inspiration, but it's also quite unique, which makes it really a nice thing. The finish is the paint is really well done. It's it's a very beautiful bike. I get so much attention from it, and like so much attention. Like people want to steal it, people want to take it. It's just, and I was just thinking, why can't you just buy your own? It's not even that expensive, but do you know what I mean? That's the level of quality that I would say that this bike has. And yeah, so I do recommend it. I'm going to add a video and possibly commentary, because I'm basically going to be editing this on my phone, so I'm not sure how competent I will be with that. But yeah, and then I'll add a video of what it's like street riding, so you understand what it's like. And if you live, for example, in a city in like Europe, the speed is fine. Really, trust me, at 30 miles an hour in a city in Europe is quite fine. But like I said, the issue with this bike is it's very torquey, and because it's very torquey, you feel it, and the feeling is very nice. You know, you feel it, like you could feel the power instantly kicking in, and that's really nice. And so sometimes you want more power. But if you live in Europe or any densely, because I live in a very densely populated place where you cannot be moving at these high speeds unless you're on a high speed road, then it's fine. But apart from that, I could recommend it if you want a budget, because before I originally wanted a Talaria, but a street legal Talaria was so expensive, and I think because they were so rare, and because of that they were being sold very expensively, and so that's how I found this bike. So yeah, if there's anything else you'd like to know, let me know. I haven't had any issues with the brakes. I've heard a few people complain about like the brakes. I haven't had any issues with it. But then again, I am a technician, so I did know that I had this to make it okay. The tires are very noisy. That's one thing about this bike. These tires, off-road they're quiet, but on-road they're very noisy. The reason I haven't replaced them is because I haven't gotten a puncture yet, because these tires are running the very, very, very low PSI. So they're running at like 14 PSI, which is really low. If you imagine a bicycle tire is running at 30 PSI, about 25 to 30 PSI, but these are running like 14, and because of that, you don't really get that many punctures. I've actually not gotten any punctures in the 3 months that I've owned this bike. I've never paid to charge it because I charge it at work, like I said. I don't pay for the parking because it's in a gray area. Is it like a bicycle, moped kind of thing? Yeah. So like I said, I want to get like a more powerful controller in the future. But I will wait a year just to see how the motor ages, so I know whether or not I need to get a controller and a motor, or whether or not I can just change the controller. But I believe that I think this can be, I really believe this motor can handle 3,000 watts peak. I think so. Not continuous, but peak. Because if it's designed for 2,000 watts, then you can just look. So for example, the motor is designed for 2,000 watts. That's how much it can handle without damaging itself, and continuously. So then it can handle 3,000 watts peak for a short period of time. Do you need it? Like I said, you don't. Based upon what this is and how it's created and what it's created for, you don't. But you do get used to the power, and it's a nice feeling, and human nature. It's a fun bike. So yeah, if there's anything you'd like to know, please let me know, and I will try to make at least another video or explain it, because I'm not really I do a lot of written reviews but not video reviews, so I'm not really sure how to structure it. So I will add a commentary and let you know. Thank you. Hope this helps.